to Zendenizens.
Hey everybody, this is Caitlin, your Sark here at the 102nd. We are entering Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. We have some exciting things going on this month where we will be releasing weekly podcasts with different resources. We have the Teal Flag Project coming up on the 6th at 10 o'clock if anyone wants to help us set up for that. We have a 5K on the 6th at 1500. So we're going to start with our podcast today, and our first guest is going to be Mr. Scott Etler from IG. We're going to learn about the program and how it can work with the SAPR program.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Scott. So I was just wondering, I wanted to start off talking about a little bit of confidentiality. I know like with the SAPR program, we have almost complete confidentiality with the exception of minors and elderly abuse and abuse, self-harm or abuse to others. So I was just wondering kind of how does that tie in with the IG program?
Well, we have what's called protected communication. So if anybody comes into the IG office with a complaint or a grievance or wants to talk through a certain situation, we give them a level of confidentiality that ensure that they can trust that what they're talking about will be in a confined discussion and that we come up with resolutions. However, we also try to convey that we can't promise complete confidentiality, as a lot of times we have to refer the individual to another agency, so we might have to use names, but we always ask the individual if we can do that before we move forward.
So if somebody who needed a different resource, let's say someone comes in either with it being ostracism or sexual harassment or some type of retaliation, how would you go about working with those other agencies?
All right, so we actually have a very strict way to handle complaints or anybody come into our office. So first thing we have to do is listen to the individual and what their grievance or their concerns are. And once we have the conversation, we determine basically what areas the issues are in, and we follow a matrix to tell us which resolution passed. So people don't really fully understand the complaints process too much, but what we have to do is make sure that we're affording that individual a resolution path to address the problem that they're currently dealing with. So if an individual comes into our office and through the complaint intake process, we have to conduct a complaint analysis. We determine what the problem is that they're coming to us with, and then we determine what the best resolution path is for that individual. The IG is not authorized to address or resolve problems that are typically addressed or normally addressed through another agency. So if someone were to come to us and there were indications of retaliation or sexual assault or anything, we immediately refer that individual over to that other agency for them to get the care and the attention that they need for their problem. It does go through I wouldn't say a lengthy process, but it's a very deliberate process where we have to make that determination to make sure that they're getting the help that they need.
So let's say you had someone come in and they decided to work with the SAPR office and they had done a restricted or unrestricted report. But they were feeling they were getting retaliated against since they have done a report. Mm-hmm. Typically unrestricted, other people would know. With a restricted report, though, it may just be that one person who knows could have people retaliating against them.
So for retaliation, obviously, I mean, I don't have my matrix in front of me to find the resolution path, but they do talk about retaliation, reprisal, restriction, and people, the personnel they need to understand that we try to find the resolution path, and sometimes the individual that comes to us doesn't know how to resolve their problem, and maybe their chain of command has not been available to them or as helpful as they'd like. The door's always open in our office where they can come to us if they don't know, and we can find that resolution path for them. So if someone comes in and says, I've been bullied within my organization or there's some retaliation, we use our matrix to determine who's the most appropriate agency to go to. And it could be the EO office if it's bullying or any type of things like that in the organization. And if there's indications of sexual assault, we get the ball rolling with the helping agencies that can help them. So So when it comes to reprisal restrictions, those are the things that the IG will investigate internal in the IG, where we have an investigating officer.
So throughout your process, how often do you check in with somebody if they have a reprisal or retaliation complaint with the IG office?
Well,
Follow-up
fortunately,
ones.
we haven't had any reprisal situations that have happened here. And for everybody's understanding, reprisal is if someone uses their chain of command, there's protected communication. If an individual goes to their first sergeant, their congressman, or their commander, or to the IG, that's considered protected communication. So if a person does make that protected communication and they feel that their chain of command or someone in their chain of command is starting to retaliate because they did use the proper channels to resolve those issues, that's when we get involved and we determine what the best resolution path based off of how the information is presented to us. Retaliation is a little bit different than reprisal. And a reprisal, retaliation is like, you did this, now I'm not going to give you what you need type of thing, or I'm going to put you on nights or days. There is some reprisal in there, but it has to be an administrative action taken against a person in order to that affects their career, to where reprisal starts to become the main issue there.
So,
I think if I could just expand upon some things.
yeah, absolutely.
There is, I wouldn't say there's a misconception or misunderstanding of what the IG does, but obviously everybody understands that we inspect organizations for compliance and non-compliance with standards, to inform the commanders that, hey, you have a blind spot within your organization that you might want to place an additional attention on and fix before it becomes a bigger problem. And when we inspect, we typically are looking at the organization through the four lenses of the major graded areas. So we look at how leadership is leading their people. Do they have the guidance? Do they have the support? Is morale high? Is there indications that people are not being treated fairly, or there might be some unfair standards being applied across the organization. So we try to give the commander, hey, you might want to adjust your approach on things. But when we do our sessions in our vertical inspection, our one-on-one sessions with individuals, if there are any indications that there might be an assault or an issue that falls in lane of another helping agency, we will encourage that person to reach out to that individual, or we will encourage them to come into our office to try to understand that better, to get them help if they're willing to go down that path. We can't force someone to file a complaint or to address the issue. And if they don't want to move forward, puts us in a hard position. But whenever someone comes into our office for a situation, we always log the contact that we have in our system for trending purposes. And if they don't want to follow through because it's their situation, we want to just make sure we document, because if they have the courage later on to come in, we can pick up where we left off or use it as a trend item. So so when we inspect, we look for things like that, but we don't get people to come to us to, hey, you should come file a complaint. We encourage people to do that, but we also encourage folks to use their chain of command in order to resolve their problems at the lowest level. If they haven't done so, we encourage them. If they feel they can't do that, then we always try to help them find that resolution path for them.
The SAPR program does the same thing. We don't have a statute of limitations for when people report, but if somebody comes to our office and just wants to talk, we're not going to slam paperwork down and make them
Right,
do it.
yeah.
It's
And I
up
think
to
at that
them.
point when someone has finally has the courage to come talk to us, because it does take courage. They might have exhausted the resources they have internally. They might have looked into things, and their chain of command has maybe not done what they could have done. It takes courage to walk through the door and say, I have a problem, can you help me with it? So even if time has gone by, we always want to listen to the individual to determine if there's something that we can do to assist. And the statute of limitations is kind of a thing that we utilize if we can't move forward without details. But we definitely try to help the person out before we push them off to another agency.
Yeah, and I think that's what all our agencies are here for, is to kind of try and help guide a client to what they want and what works for them best, especially when they're experieing certain situations.
And our door is always open. We have posters. So if someone does, I don't know what this means, but it doesn't feel right to me. A lot of folks may trust us. Some people might not trust us. We just hope that someone has another person that they can trust to talk through and give them that guidance. But we are a helping agency, and we help guide that individual to the resolution path, and it could be right across the hall. We're very lucky to be right across the hall from Airmen and Family Readiness, to where if we have any questions about what we see, we always come across the hall and ask for those clarifications. And I think that's a reciprocatory thing where you guys come and ask us questions as well. And we really appreciate the relationship that we have with you guys, because, you know, we don't always know what a person's working through or dealing with. And folks come to us, this is the most important problem that they have at that moment, and we want to give them the time and the attention that they deserve to hear them out, and make sure that we're understanding what the problem is, so we can get them to the right helping agency or organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And the SAPR office is here for that as well. And I think that it is great. Like, I've seen other bases where it's a little bit harder, and we literally have the chaplain's office on drill weekends right across the hall as well. We have you guys in IG. We have the DPH in the same Zenden area, and the SARC and Airmen and Family Readiness, along with our financial person. And I think it makes it, hopefully, as people know, that this is like a good hallway that's away from everybody too.
Well, yeah,
So the
they
location is
jokingly
great.
call this the hallway of hugs. If you need help, you can come down to the bottom floor, right-hand side. That's where the IG is located, Airmen and Family Readiness. I'm pretty sure people know where we're at, but we're here to help. Despite what some people think about the IG and what they do, we definitely love to help people out, and we encourage people to use our open door policy to come see us anytime if they need the help that they need out there. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming in today to do this.
No problem.
I like that everyone gets to hear from IG, a little more personable.
Yeah, I mean, when we typically, when we're out and about in the uniform, out and about in inspections, we're wearing a WIT badge, and typically people will or an IG badge, and people tend to do 180s and turn away from us. But what we really want to encourage folks is to come to us anytime they feel like there's something that's on their mind that they can't resolve, or they haven't been able to resolve. And we could be the first step to finding them those fixes that they need to make sure they're focused on their family, or the mission, or just themselves from mental health or things like that. So we're here to help.
Absolutely. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.